we decided not to go to the theater for our featured review this week. We decided to go to Netflix as there was a fairly noteworthy release that Todd had been looking forward to. I think you said you had it on your Oscar predictions last year.
It was at least last year, maybe the year before. I don't know. I mean, when I saw Gareth Evans was making a new movie, I put it on for something. I don't remember what it was.
Anyways, this is Havoc starring Tom Hardy and Timothy Oliphant and Forrest Whitaker, among others. And yes, it is directed by Gareth Evans, and Todd's going to start on this one. So, Todd, tell us all about it and what you thought.
Okay, Havoc. It's kind of a pretty standard cop movie plot. There's a deal gone bad, so there's a violent cop, which is Tom Hardy's character, and he has to infiltrate this dangerous crime syndicate in order to save the child of an important person. In this case, the important person is Forrest Whitaker. He's a politician. His son is who he's got to save. And eventually he realizes like there's this big conspiracy and that it's much deeper than he thought. And the supporting cast includes Timothy Oliphant as a narcotics officer, and Louis Guzman's also has a small part, and a bunch of talented people that I've never really seen before. I think we're in kind of the golden age of gun fu. Like if John Woo had been making movies like Hard Boiled in today's climate, like we'd be looking at his movies as being masterpieces. I mean, some people do already, but I mean, even more so. And Evans takes that format and he adds brutality and B movie charm while still being sophisticated. There's a bit of like dragged across concrete in there if it was like a full-on action movie. And there's actually more story here than you think. The action is spectacular, but this is still like it's a brooding Tom Hardy movie, and that's what keeps it from being something like Extraction or something. And I love the side characters, particularly Hardy's partner Jesse May Lee, and also Quellen Sepulveda, who is one of the thieves. Louis Guzman's scene is probably my favorite scene, and there aren't any like all-time action sequences like there are in the Raid movies, which is what Evans is most known for, and like some of the best action movies of the last 25 years. But there are some pretty damn vicious gun battles in this, and it's expertly directed by a guy who just really gets it, like, and really looks up to John Woo and stuff like that. It's like those Statham movies I really have been liking lately, but like on steroids and bloody as hell. And I think the movie kind of kicks ass. Like it's a love letter to that like 80s, early 90s action movies, and low-key kind of more competently made than most of those are, even if it's not all that much deeper. And I don't know why the movie has such an interesting cast. I don't know why it's compelling to watch, even though the plot's pretty confusing. Timothy Oliphant, of course, is a great douchebag because he always is. And I had a lot of fun, even though I admit it's probably not for everybody. And it probably would have been better in a theater, but maybe Netflix now has this spot where they're going to be the go-to for these kind of like hard R action movies that have become harder sells at the box office, like Rebel Ridge, Extraction 1 and 2. Now this, I guess I'm kind of okay with it because I thought this was pretty good, and I'm at 3 stars.
All right, Todd's at 3 stars. I'm gonna go next. I finished this movie about a half hour before we logged on, and I kind of hated it. I thought it was the plot was over convoluted and confusing for just to be confusing. I feel like the gun battles, there were a lot of them. And whoever was the stunt coordinator on this film was obsessed with putting as many squibs on each person as possible, and having just blood exploding in every direction possible. Honestly, there were a couple gun battles there where I don't even think the characters knew who they were shooting at. They just knew that there were people that were still alive, so they needed to keep firing their guns. Because of that, it really didn't make any sense. I couldn't make any sense of it. It was overly violent. Just like there's a stylized violence that I get that can go a certain way. This wasn't that. This was just like, we're just going to be brutal for the sake of being brutal. And I don't know, it turned me off. And the little bit of plot you could kind of understand, I feel like I didn't care. I mean, Tom Hardy's doing his Tom Hardy thing. He's basically playing every character he's ever played. Someone who's on the shady side, trying to do right. Oliphant's doing the same thing. I'm at 1.5 stars, and yeah, potentially could have gone lower, but I'm gonna go 1.5. There are some cool things that are going on. The chase scene at the beginning is pretty cool. That gave it the extra half star, I'd say. But yeah, 1.5 stars. I don't know what's going on in this thing. All right, Zach, tell us why it's a 2.5 star movie.
No, I don't have it as 2.5 stars. I'm with you, Terry. I was not a fan of this movie either. I actually also have it as 1.5 stars. I admit that this is not really my kind of movie. I just wish that it had been made. I wish that they had invested more time in an interesting plot and story. I think this movie is a mess. This movie had a lot of reshoots. Apparently, it was shot in 2021. It was, I think it kind of sat on the shelf for a while because of the delays involved with the reshoots. The plot actually, for what it's worth, it's a really standard plot. But it has some interesting actors in it, and I agree with Todd. I like, well, any movie that Luis Guzman is in is solid for me, and I like seeing Timothy Olyphant. I think Tom Hardy's doing something interesting in the movie, and I do have to say I like that a lot of the cast was occupied by women. I like that his partner was a woman. I like that the head detective was a woman. I like that the chief antagonist was a female character. That was cool to see. But this movie was just the plot was just an excuse for these gunfire sequences, these battle sequences that there isn't a whole lot of emotional investment in. I think also one of the problems I have with this movie is maybe the best thing it's got going for it, which is that it was free for us to go see because it was on Netflix, and it definitely has that Netflix look to it. Especially that opening scene with like the car chase and then the train. It's like every one of these movies has to have like the Netflix train. I feel like that really phony, artificial CGI, quick moving vehicle. And I knew right away, this is just, I've seen this stuff before. You said Extraction. I mean, it's like Extraction in that regard. I did the gang in this movie is vaguely Asian is the best way I would describe it. They don't belong to a specific Asian country, maybe because they want to export this movie. The movie is there are moments of it when you sense that there might have been something better here, like Tom Hardy's relationship with his ex-wife and daughter is kind of interesting, I guess. The scene when Forrest Whitaker is attacked in a car, I guess, is kind of interesting. But honestly, I'm not going to remember this movie in 3 weeks. You keep waiting because you know this is from the guy that did the Raid 2, and you know there are traces of that. Maybe the closest that it gets is maybe the party scene, which has a lot of good hand-to-hand combat stuff in it, which I thought was kind of cool. But again, the gun stuff and the excessive violence, and it's just like, man, if you'd had a more investment on, again, a story or characters that we cared about, maybe that stuff would have had more of a payoff. But this movie is very generic to me. It doesn't feel really special. It doesn't feel like a lot of time was spent on actually making a solid product rather than just something that's going to entertain the mass populace to have on in the back. This is the kind of movie that's on the background, I think, a lot. So I think there are going to be a lot of people that like this movie, but there's also a lot of people who are really stupid. So I'm not calling Todd stupid. I'm saying there are people that are stupid that will probably enjoy this movie. So if you're stupid, go on and watch it and enjoy it. Turn your brain off. This movie does not exactly activate the neurons in your brain, but I need something a little bit more stimulating. So I'm at 1.5 stars as well.
Todd,
I mean, it's either, I don't know. I mean, either you're into that kind of thing or you're not. Like, I mean, like it isn't the Raid. Like the Raid is like pretty much like a nonstop, like extended action sequence that has got like the best like gunfights like maybe that have ever been committed to film. This takes some of that, but it tries to put in a cop plot. And I mean, I'm always gonna kind of like that. I don't know why Ray Liotta wasn't in this movie if it was shot in 2021. I didn't know that. He probably could have been. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, the movie ended up not getting that great of marks by most critics, which is, I mean, it's whatever. I mean, I enjoyed it, and it doesn't surprise me you guys didn't like it.
I mean, yeah, when you know that he's a crooked cop right away. I mean, the plot of this movie, it's like it's recycled out of so many other movies, probably movies that are on the Liotta meter, Karen. So I don't know why this movie couldn't have had any sort of attempt at originality. And I guess what the director would say is that he was more interested in staging elaborate fight sequences and choreography. But I don't know. You have these interesting actors. You have a seemingly unlimited budget from Netflix. Do something more aspirational with it. I don't know.
I think what makes it different is the Tom Hardy character's like depth. I think there is a lot there, and that's what makes it not just like I said, Extraction, where it's really just like a vehicle to make action scenes. Like, but his character makes it different. But I mean, but the plot is too confusing to really understand that. But it is a Tom Hardy movie through and through.
But he's doing the same stuff he does in every movie, though. You're right. His character is more than this movie deserves, but it's also not something that's new that we've seen from Tom Hardy. Like, he had this idea of the brooding, corrupt guy with the heart of gold. We've seen that from Tom Hardy in like every movie he's ever done.
And that's what makes him an interesting actor, because I mean that's the stuff that he does. But yeah, I mean it doesn't surprise me. We don't need to keep talking about this. I want to talk about The Longest Yard.
Okay. Yeah. So let's wrap it up. 3 stars from Todd, 1.5 from me and Zach. It's on Netflix. It just came out this weekend. It'll probably be in the top 10 list for a little while. If you're into some heavy action sequences and
this is the kind of movie I'm going to look back on my list this year. When we do our Pinot ballot, I'm going to look at my list and I'm going to see the movie Havoc, and I'm going to say, what was that?
Well, it's like there was a Havoc from 2005, and that always comes up first when you Google Havoc, and that because that movie had like Anne Hathaway and Channing Tatum in it or something. So
now they would have made more interesting people in this movie. Imagine Anne Hathaway. Well, I don't know. I still think it wouldn't have worked.